My book review is on Educating Esme, A Diary of a Teacher's First Year, written by Esme Raji Kodel. This book can be kind of seen as an autobiography that is zoomed in on Kodel's first year of teaching, and it provides an autopsy of what effective teaching is and looks like through her diary entries. She documents her thoughts, feelings, and many of her pedagogical choices spanning the time between when she got hired and when her students graduated in June of the next year. This book really inspired me as a new teacher because we really see all of the struggles a teacher can face between dealing with unsupportive administration, to tough parents, to trying to connect at the utmost level with our students. When they don't look like us or come from the same background, that can be very difficult. It helped me realize that while every single teacher is different, we all go through the same basic experiences as first-year teachers, no matter where we are or what our student population looks like. I feel Kodel is really the gold standard of teaching, just as the review on the cover of her book says, and I would recommend this book to all first-year teachers in order to stay humble, encouraged, and passionate about our chosen career. There are a few themes that I think are present throughout the entire book, and are explained through her entries, whether it be about her thoughts on her lessons, her struggles with her coworkers, or her pedagogical ideas. During the review, I'll highlight some of the themes and give examples of them throughout the book. The first theme that is common throughout the book is resiliency, and I really like this comparison that this picture makes about resiliency. It says when you bend with the wind but don't break in the storm, it means when you get knocked down, you get back up again, and she really demonstrates that throughout the entire book. Kodel attempts to establish resiliency in her students as well as increase resiliency in herself. As a first-year teacher, you really need all the help you can get, and you need reminders that you are doing the best you can and you are enough. Those reminders for Esme were sparse in her first year of teaching, as her principal was constantly degrading her and depreciating her value. In her diary entry, she constantly notes that her principal is the most unsupportive person possible, while the other teachers in her school simply look past his insufficiencies and don't attempt to challenge the administration or him. She internalizes the expression, "what doesn't kill you makes you stronger," and takes the criticism and unsupportive environment and lets it fuel her fire, which I think is really admirable. She must have had really high self-esteem, which really helped her in the long run. She also attempted to establish resiliency in her students in so many ways. Her students came from homes that were riddled with gangs and shootings and were often underfed and abused. Many teachers would label these students as unfixable, but Kodel didn't see them that way. She saw the potential her students had and helped them see it in themselves too by pushing them to be their best and by never lowering her expectations of them. Resiliency is one reason why so many of her students were able to walk across the stage at graduation that year. Another theme that was constant throughout Educating Esme was passion. Passion is a requisite quality for teachers, but Kodel took it to the next level and never let anything or anyone dull her passion for teaching. She helped her students develop a passion for learning by engaging them during lessons. She explains that in order to introduce a unit on inventors, she roller skated into class with chocolate chip cookies, light bulbs, and pencils adhered to her jacket. Only a true passionate teacher would go to that extent to engage her students in a new unit. She also helped her students explore their own passions by allowing them to study poetry through rap music, something that was familiar to them and that she knew they could relate to, and by doing their own research projects as well. She also started after-school clubs like the Conflict Resolution Club, where she taught students practical skills in order to solve their problems rather than resort to gangs and violence like so many of their parents and siblings and people who are really supposed to be role models to them. She also created an assembly that had an author of a book that her kids read in class come to school to talk about pursuing dreams. And it really just was a great event for her kids and for the entire school to be able to have seen somebody that wrote such a passionate and inspiring book come visit them. A last theme that I think was evident throughout the book was the theme of loving all students for who they are and what they can do. Her students were probably unloved by many of their past teachers and even some family members, and didn't really know their self-worth. But their self-worth was really at a zero when they entered her class, and in return, they really didn't put forth any effort because nobody ever expected anything of them. She helped her students love themselves and love learning through her lessons and her actions. For example, she let a student and his sister sleep at her house while their mother was getting a restraining order against their father. She held a crying student in the hallway after her mother had beat her for lying to the teacher. She so outwardly expressed her love for her students, and I think it's so important for students to know just how much they are loved and how deserving they are of love. That's something that Codell really wanted to stress to her students throughout the year. It should never be a question whether or not a child is loved, and that would just break my heart as a teacher. And it broke Esme's, which is why she so outwardly expressed it. Overall, this book was a really down-to-earth, gritty read, and it really gives you a glimpse into the real, true life of a first-year teacher. Any first-year teacher or a teacher who needs a reminder of why they chose this career should read it. I look forward to rereading it and using her pedagogical ideas in my career.